Hello everyone, in this video we'll study about principles of congestion control, and in that we'll study about causes and the cost of congestion. Here congestion is a general term, that is traffic in the network is usually considered as a congestion. So this congestion occurs because of too many sources sending too much of data too fast for network to handle. That is here the congestion occurs because there are many sources which are sending the data at the faster rate, so the network is unable to handle the data in the network. In that case the congestion occurs. We already know about the flow control. So how the congestion control is different from flow control? Here the flow control occurs between the sender and receiver. That is, sender is sending the data at the faster rate where the receiver is unable to receive the data. In that case the sender is going to inform back to the sender saying that it is unable to accept the data and it has to slow down its sending rate. That is called as a flow control. It is always between the sender and receiver. But if the congestion is the rate at which the sender is going to send the data into the network, whether the network is able to handle it or no. That is called as a congestion. It mainly deals with network components such as bridges, routers and the buffers. In those cases, whether they are able to handle the data what the sender is sending and the receiver can receive it or no. So this is called as an congestion. And whenever the congestion occurs, there are going to be two cases. One is loss of packets and long delays. Lost packet occurs because of the buffer overflow at the routers, that is an intermediate node. Router is also considered as an intermediate node, and those routers also will have the buffers to store the incoming packets. So loss of packet occurs because of the buffer overflow at the routers, and the long delays because of the queuing of packets in the router buffers. So because of these two cases the congestion occurs. So the congestion is considered among the top 10 problems in case of networking. So there are different causes and cost of congestion, and we'll just go through all the scenarios one by one. We have the scenario 1 here. In this case we have two senders and two receivers and one router which is going to connect the senders and receivers, and that router, it has an infinite buffer size, so it can accumulate all the packets whatever the sender is sending, and those packets will be stored in a router buffer and all the packets will be transmitted to the receiver. So here we have two senders, that is host A and host B are acting as the senders, and with the remaining two we can see at the other side, these two are acting as the receivers. These two servers are acting as the receivers, and the link capacity is considered as an R. So the transmission link capacity, where the senders are sending the data to the receivers, that link capacity is considered as R, so that it can transmit R amount of data at a time. So no retransmission, because the router is with infinite buffer capacity, which means whenever the buffer or router receives the packet, it's going to store it in buffer and it's going to send it to the destination. So then there is not going to be any packet loss during the transmission. So whenever there is no packet loss, there is no retransmission of the packets. So this is the scenario we have here. Here host A, host B are the senders and the two servers are the receivers. So the rate at which you are going to send the data, that is considered as an lambda in. That is, it's going to get the data from the above layer, and at the same rate it is going to send the data input, that is, it's going to give the input as a data to the network layer. In the network at the receiver side, lambda out is the output it is going to get from the sender. That is the output that is being expected at the receiver side, that is considered as an lambda out, that is the throughput. So the rate at we are going to send the data is lambda in, that is the input given to the network. We can see here lambda in is the rate at which you are going to send the data into the network. As we have two hosts, the link will be shared among two hosts. So the link capacity is R, and R by 2 is given to host A and R by 2 is given to host B, because host A is sending data to one of the receiver at the other side, and host B is sending the data to one of the receiver at the other side. So the entire link is shared between two hosts and two destinations. So if the link capacity is R, the link is for host A it is given as R by 2, and for host B the link capacity is given as R by 2. So here we have a router which has a infinite buffer. When it is an infinite buffer, it can accumulate large amount of packets. So no retransmission and no packet loss. This is the first scenario. So when the congestion is going to occur here, the link capacity is shared, there is going to be a delay, but there is not going to be any packet loss in the first scenario. So here the delay occurs because whatever the sender, that is host A and host B, are sending, all the packets are stored in the buffer and they need to wait in a queue before they need to be transmitted to their particular destinations. So there are going to be a long delays if there are large amount of packets in the buffer. So the incoming packets need to wait in a buffer before moving further into the destinations. So we can find a delay but not the packet loss in case of scenario 1. So here we can see a graph. Maximum per connection throughput is R by 2 because the link capacity is shared between two hosts and each will have the capacity of R by 2. Here host A is link maximum per connection throughput is R by 2. Host B is maximum per connection throughput is R by 2. Throughput is the link, what is the link capacity that is shared by the host, that is the considered as an throughput, the rate at which they are sending the data to the network, that is an R by 2 with the lambda n as the input, that is the throughput. So we can see a linear graph here where the link capacity is shared and all the packets are they are stored in the buffers and there is not going to be any packet loss. So always the link capacity is shared correctly between the two hosts and lambda at which rate the sender is sending it, the same rate the packets are received at the receiver side. So we can see a linear graph here, whereas the delay is considered as an exponential graph. Here if you send if the lambda in is small, then the output rate is going to be also small, so the link is used properly. If lambda n increases largely, then there is going to be a delay at the output side. So if you have the small lambda n, then there is going to be a small delay, and if you increase the value, then it's going to increase exponentially. If the input rate is more, then the delay is going to be more. So if the lambda n in value, if it is going to increase more, then you can see a delay value to be increased more. So the sending rate should be medium, so that the receiving side also it can get the data at the faster rate. If you increase the sending rate faster, then all the data gets accumulated at the buffers and it has to reach the destination with the delayed thing. So the delayed packets will be received at the destination. So large delays as arrival rate lambda in approaches the capacity. So if the lambda in rate, if it is going to be more than the threshold value, then there is going to be a heavy congestion in the network, that is at the buffers, and there is going to be a delay in the network. So this is the first scenario where you have two senders and two receivers, and the main important here is the buffer capacity is infinite and there is no retransmission of the packet and no packet loss. So we have the second scenario. In this we have one router, as usual we have one router as that of the earlier case, and we have the finite buffers. Finite buffers is at the router we have a buffer and we are going to set a value, that is the buffer can hold only some amount of packets. So it can store only some amount of packets at the router. So here we have the same scenario. We have two senders and two receivers with the link capacities R, and we have a host A which want to send a packet to one of the server, and host B also want to send some packets to one of the server at the other side. The scenario is same as that of the scenario 1, but the only difference is here we don't have a infinite buffer, but the capacity of the buffer is finite, so that it can, if it is going to exceed the buffer size, then all the packets that are going to arrive from the sender side, they will be dropped into the network if the value is greater than the buffer size. So here sender retransmission of timed out packets. So whenever there is a packet loss, or whenever the buffer is full, it is unable to store the incoming packets, so the packets will be dropped in the network. So whenever the packet will be dropped, there is going to be a packet loss. Whenever there is a packet loss, there need to be a retransmission of those packets. So sender retransmits the packet after the timer times out. So application layer input is equal to application layer output, that is lambda in is equal to lambda out. So when this scenario is going to occur, lambda in is the rate at which you are sending the data to the other side, that is to the receiver. So host A is going to send a small amount of data and host B also sends the small amount of data. In that case, the data, only small amount of data is stored in the buffer and that will be transmitted. So there is no concept of buffer full if the lambda in is small. If you are giving a small input, then the packet will be transmitted across the network and there won't be any congestion in the network. If the lambda in increases, that is host A and host B or both are sharing the link, and if the lambda in increases, in that case the packets will be lost and you need to retransmit. Whenever you are retransmitting, that is considered as a lambda dash in, that is the input is considered as lambda dash in. It is the original data plus retransmitted data. So if you are sending the packet for the first time, then it is called as an original data, that is indicated as lambda in, that is the input capacity, input rate. Here you have considered it as a lambda dash in, which is a retransmitted data. The packet has been already lost in the network and you are retransmitting it after the timer has time out. So that is considered as lambda dash in. So in first case, lambda in is equal to lambda out, the rate at which you are sending the data that has been received, that is lambda in is equal to lambda out. It is in case of a small data packet where lambda in is small. Here transport layer input includes retransmission, where lambda dash in is greater than or equal to lambda in. Whenever you are retransmitting the packet, that is considered as a duplicate packet. You have already sent the first packet plus retransmission of the packet is going to occur. So always lambda in value will be lambda dash in, it is greater than or equal to lambda in. So whenever you are going to transmit the data, again you need to start the timer. So idealization is perfect knowledge. Sender sends only when router buffer is available. So to avoid the retransmission, what the sender has to do, it has to send the data only when the router buffer is available. When it is empty, you can send the data, or if it has some capacity that it can store the incoming packet, only then you can send the data. So sender sends only when router buffer is available. In that case, lambda in will be equal to lambda out. That is the scenario. You can see that in the diagram. A copy has been sent, free buffer space, then it will be retransmitted to the destination. We can see it is a normal scenario without any packet loss. So here we have a graph for the normal scenario. It is similar to that of the first graph, where the link capacity is shared among two hosts. So the host A has R/2 and host B also has R/2. So the link capacity is shared between two hosts and the incoming rate is very small. Lambda in is equal to lambda out without any packet loss, and we can see a buffer. Even though it is a finite buffer, it can store the packets. This is the first scenario, first graph. Here idealization, known loss packets can be lost, dropped at the router due to full buffer. Sender only sends if the packet known to be lost. So here we have a scenario where there is a packet loss. So when you are going to know the packet has been lost, when the timer times out, then the sender is going to retransmit. So here known loss packets can be lost, dropped at the router due to full buffer. So the buffer is full and you are going to drop the incoming packets. Sender only resends if the packet known to be lost. So if the sender knows that the packet has been lost, then only it is going to resend that packet. In that case, you can see here, packet is being sent, buffer is full, drop the packet. So when it is going to drop the packet, it is going to wait for certain amount of time, and the timer has to time out. When the timer times out, it is going to retransmit the packet. Free buffer space, and it reaches the destination correctly. You can see that in the diagram. So in this case, the first time the packet loss had occurred, so again the retransmission had taken place. So in this case, we can see that the lambda in is not equal to lambda out. In that case, lambda dash in is you have transmitted it 2 times, whereas it has reached the receiver at only 1 time. So we can consider this with an example that you are moving from one place to another place with your friend for some interview, and first time you are going to take your friend along with you, and you reach the destination. As soon as you reach the destination, you will come to know that your friend has not bought the file. So again you are going to travel back to home, again you are going to get the file. So here you have traveled 2 times, but so if it was a normal scenario, then you are going to use the petrol half of the what you have traveled earlier. So here it has been doubled now, so you are going to consider it as a R by 3. So you can see a graph here. You can see the duplicate packets, buffer is free, so it has see timer has timeout and retransmission takes place. So yeah, here at the destination the same packet has been received twice because of the timer timeout. So first packet was delayed in the network, so here you can see it again. Copy, buffer space is free, but there is a delay in the network, so packet did not reach the destination. So retransmission and packet has reached twice. So this is because of the timer. So here if it was a timer timeout, then you are going to share the link capacity. The same packet has been transmitted 2 times. First, if you are going to transmit it only 1 time, then the link capacity is considered as R by 2. If you are going to send the same packet 2 times, then the link capacity is reduced to half, that is R by 4. Here is a realistic duplicate. Packet can be lost, dropped at the router due to full buffers. The sender times out prematurely, sending 2 copies, both of which are delivered. That the scenario what we saw earlier. Cost of congestion, more work for given good put, that is retransmission is given for the good output. Unneeded retransmissions like link carries multiple copies of packets, decreasing the throughput. So if you want the good throughput, then there has to be a less congestion, and there need not be any delays during the transmission. So here we have the third scenario. In this case we have 4 senders and multi-hop paths, and the retransmission takes place, and the timer timeout mechanism can also be seen here. What happens as lambda in and lambda in dash increase? That we have the question here. If lambda in and lambda in dash increase, in that case how the network is going to handle the scenario? So here we have 4 hosts, and host A is sending the data to host C, and host B is sending the data to host D. In this case we'll consider the path. Here host A want to send the data to host C, so it has to transmit through 2 routers which we have here. Here we have router 1 and router 2. So the data need to be passed through router 1 and router 2. Whereas if you consider the router 2, this has been shared between router B and router D. So if you consider any 2 systems, always the routers, one of the router will be shared among those. Host A to host C, then one of the router will be shared in the path. Host B to host D, again one of the router will be shared in the path. So here we have the lambda n as the original data, and lambda dash is same as the earlier one, that is the original plus retransmitted data. Here the finite link buffer, that is the link capacity is again R, and with the routers are with finite buffers. The scenario is same as the earlier one. So as read, lambda dash increases, all arriving blue packets at upper queue are dropped, blue throughput is 0. So here you can see the one with blue colors. You can see the one with blue colors. Blue packets at they are dropped in the network. So here the path is considered with the red one, and one more is with the blue one. Host D to B, then it is through host D, then it is on a intermediate through host A, and finally it is to host B. and if you consider it as a host A to host C, then it is through host A, then on intermediately we have host B and host C, but the routers are shared here. So when the router is shared, if host A want to send some data to host C, then there is going to be a congestion at this router, that is router 1. So host D, it's going to send the router data to router 4 as usually. As soon as it arrives here, there is going to be a congestion because host A is also trying to send the data to host C, where they are going to share the router. That is, the router 1 will be shared among those. So there is going to be a increase in packet loss because the buffer, that is buffer size is small, and it is with a finite buffer. There is going to be a packet loss here at the router 1. So how to draw the graph? Here when lambda n dash is equal to lambda out, that is, we take the scenario where initially if we have already seen this diagram here. Here host A want to send it to host C, and host B want to send the data to host D. In that case, the path are already shown with red and the blue color. So here whenever host A want to send, it's going to send the data at the faster rate. Initially when you consider it as a lambda n is small, that is input is small, that is you are sending the small amount of data. In that case, lambda in out will be equal to lambda out because the buffers are able to store the incoming packets. So lambda in will be equal to lambda out. But as soon as you increase the input size, then there is going to be a congestion in the network, and whenever there is a congestion in the network, they are not going to reach the destination properly. So when it is not going to reach the destination, the lambda out, that is going to drop consistently. You can see the drop. So initially it is a linear data, then it's going to decrease, and then it's going to follow a straight line. That is, link capacity will be that is, we need to reduce the input rate, that is lambda dash in will be reduced. So another cost of congestion is when packets are dropped, any upstream transmission capacity used for the packet that was wasted. So the link capacity will be wasted more whenever you are sending the data at the faster rate, whenever you are sharing the resources. So here explain the causes and cost of congestion, state congestion and discuss the causes of congestion.